Good morning, beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be me creating this beautiful look, and if you want to see how I achieve this look, just continue to watch the next clip of the video. Also, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and everything that I use will be listed in the description box down below. Let's get straight to the video. First things first, I'm going to start off by adding some moisturizer to my face just to prep my skin before adding any type of makeup products. And I'm really focusing under my eyes because that's where I get the most dryness. Now I'm going in with a second moisturizer, and this moisturizer is a mattifying moisturizer, I find that using this, it helps control some of those oils that may come throughout the day, especially if you don't have like a mattifying foundation. So this one helps a lot. Now I'm just taking some primer, and I'm using the NYX Honey Do Me Up primer, and this is to me a dupe for the Milk Hydro Grip. It kind of does the same thing in my opinion. It's just a cheaper alternative. I don't always use primer, but when I do, I make sure that I use a really good one. This will help my makeup go on much smoother and to last longer. This step is optional if you have a full coverage foundation, but I'm using a concealer and to cover up some of those dark spots I have from acne, scars, and hyperpigmentation. I do have PCOS, so my acne comes and goes pretty frequently, and I have a problem with picking at my bumps. And as of lately, since I haven't been having any bumps, I don't have nothing to pick at. So I'm working on fading those scars, but I just place this concealer on each place that I feel is needed. You don't have to put as much as I did if you don't want to, but put enough that it will cover it so that if you don't have a full coverage foundation, it won't show through. You can let it sit for a little while, or you can blend it out. And I just sprayed a little bit of my setting spray onto my brush, and I'm just going to blend it out. You can achieve the same look with doing a beauty blender. Just make sure that it's a little damped, either with water or your setting spray. I find that setting spray works better for me, so that's what I use. And you can already see the difference with just blending that out. Now I'm just going in with a little bit of foundation. The foundation that I'm using is a skin-like foundation, so it's more sheer. If I didn't add the concealer on before, you will be able to see some of my dark spots, not all. But this foundation is buildable, so you can skip the concealer part beforehand if you want, but for me it made the process much smoother and everything looked even. So now I'm just blending that out, and I also sprayed my brush once again with the setting spray to help this even more like set into my face. And a little goes a long way. It looked like I added on just a little too much, but it ended up working out in the end. And you want to use like dabbing motions. Do not swipe down, because if you do, it will leave like streaks on your face. It may look like I'm swiping down, but I'm actually just dabbing. And then you can go in with a beauty blender to help blend it out even more. The beauty blender will help soak up most of that extra product. Just make sure that it is dabbed. And I'm going to set my face just a little bit so that I can go and blend out just a little bit more before adding on my concealer. I wanted the highlight under my eyes to show a little bit more, so I used a even lighter concealer under my eyes. You always want to use a shade that's 2 shades lighter than your skin tone, but this one is a couple of shades lighter. But I wanted my under eye to be more bright, considering you do wear a mask and the only place that people will really see is your eye area, so you always want your eyes and your brows to stand out more. So I sprayed my brush yet again to help blend this out. And if you want a full coverage concealer, just let the concealer sit a little longer and it'll give you that more full coverage look. For me, in certain areas like my chin, my forehead, and under my nose, I did not want it to sit that long, because the longer it sits, sometimes the harder it is to move, just depending on which brand of concealer you use. And to finish my brows, I'm just taking whatever product that sits in between my brows and I'm rubbing that backwards, and then I'm going to brush those hairs up a little bit, and that would give me that more faded look. Five minutes is long enough for your concealer to sit under your eyes. You could let it sit a little longer if you want, but for me, I think 5 minutes is long enough. Now I'm just going to take this beauty blender to help blend out the rest of this concealer. And letting your concealer sit, like I stated before, will help you have more control over the concealer. I'm gonna go back in with my foundation brush to help buff out those that concealer and that foundation so that it don't be no harsh line. There wasn't one, but just in case there was and I couldn't see it through the camera. And then I'm going to blend under my eyes just a little bit to help even out the concealer a little bit more before going in with my setting powder. I didn't want any type of creasing. Your concealer will crease anyway, but it'll less likely crease if you blend it out a little bit more before going directly in with your setting powder. I'm just going to press this setting powder into my under eyes just to help set that concealer into place before going in with lightly baking. I'm also going to add the setting powder everywhere where I added concealer. And I know if you're a beginner at makeup, you're probably wondering, like, you added concealer on before foundation. Would that help make your face oily later on? Not if you set your whole entire face at the end, which you will see me do later. But right now I'm just pressing that powder in everywhere before going in with light powder to bake under my eyes. And the reason why I'm doing this step is because I'm about to add on some eyeshadows. I normally add my eyeshadow on before I do any type of foundation, but as of lately I kind of switched it up just a little bit. But I will be going back and forth. It's just for certain looks, I think it looks better if I go ahead and do the foundation first. And if you have dry skin like I do, please be careful when adding on setting powder because it will make you look extra dry and cakey. And for the eyeshadow, I'm using the Sananas palette by Sephora, and I'm going in with the shade Yes You Can as a transitional color. None of my eyeshadow looks are thought out, but I do go off of whatever clothing that I'm wearing. I try to match my eyeshadows to match the clothes, so this is why I chose the colors that I chose today. You always want to make sure you blend thoroughly and evenly before going in with any other color, and make sure that you always blend whatever shades that you do mix together so that everything comes together seamlessly. I love the way that these colors show up on my skin tone, and if you want these colors to show up more vibrant, just add a white base underneath. The NYX Jumbo Pencil is a great one to use, as well as they have other ones that you can use. For my second shade, I'm going in with, I don't know how to say the name, so I'm not even going to try. But I use this right under the transitional shade, and it really helps bring those two colors together perfect. Like, I loved it. You barely could see the transitional shade, but you can see it just enough. And I just make sure that I'm blending those two shades together very well before going in with another shade. And for my third shade, I'm going in with Nope, and this I ended up using as the outer V. I didn't really want to use this color because it's more of a brownish color, but it worked out perfect for the eye look. And the way I added it kind of resembles the way that you would add on your eyeliner. And that's why I chose to kind of go with this look. Right now it looks kind of crazy, but everything will come together at the end, I promise. And I'm just going back and forth between those three shades to kind of blend everything together. I'm repeating the same steps, and I'm just starting at the outer V, exactly the way that you would add your eyeliner, and just smudge it out. You can build the color up if needed. I rarely had to, but for some areas I did because I wanted it to look darker but more faded out. And you will see at the end when everything is finished. You always want to look back and forth to make sure that both eyes match each other. And now I'm just taking some concealer, the same concealer that I use underneath my eyes to cut my crease. I didn't necessarily have to do concealer to cut the crease. I could have just added the glitter, but this will help that glitter pop even more. And when cutting your crease, you can go a bunch of different ways. For me, I just like it to go up just a little bit higher than it probably should go, just so that it can really show and stand out. And I'm just patting that in so that it's not very wet when I go to put the glitter on, but you can let it dry down on its own, or you can go ahead and put the glitter on directly. Now I'm just blending out that transitional color so it can show more, as well as blend the other colors so that it won't be no harsh lines when I go ahead and add the glitter. This part is optional. You don't necessarily have to. This is just what I do. And I continue to blend just like I said, so it don't be no harsh line when adding the glitter. And now I'm going in with Wow, and just, it speaks for itself. I love this glitter so much. This is my first time using it, but just the name of it just speaks for itself, because I did not have to pack on a lot of it for it to show through at all. But I'm just making sure that it's sticking to my eyelid, and I'm just going back in with those other shades to buff it out again so there's no harsh lines. And just look how this eye looks, so pretty. And now I'm just repeating the same steps on the opposite eye. You want to cut your crease, and you want to take your time with cutting your crease so you don't go over. or up too high, I should say, because you want your eyes to be the exact same, or at least I do. And just take your time when doing it, and I promise you, you can't go wrong with a cut crease, in my opinion. You just can't. Again, just packing that concealer down so that it's not as wet. And then I'm going to go in with the other shades and kind of blend it out so there's no harsh lines. Again, this step is optional. You don't have to. Some people like their cut crease to be harsh looking. I just don't. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it actually looks good. But I just like for everything to blend. And now I'm just going in with that Wild shade, and I'm just lightly pressing that on. And just look how much of a difference a light touch makes. And again, you do not have to add on a lot of this. It does the job. If you have not gotten your hands on this palette, I recommend it. It is so pretty. Don't forget to go back into your other brushes. I did not add any product on the brushes to blend everything out so that everything flows together. And now I'm just patting in that setting powder as well as dusting it away. You can use a pressed powder that's your skin tone to dust away any extra powder. I didn't have to use anything because I'm patting it in and dusting it away at the same time. Again, that part is optional. You don't have to. I don't always do this, but sometimes I notice that it makes the look even better. But I'm just adding some of those colors at the bottom, just 2 of them though, and then to help bring everything together. I don't think on me it looks good for every look, but for certain ones it do. Like this particular look, it looks great. Now I'm going to go in with a bronzer, and I'm using this bronzer to contour, and a little goes a long way. This bronzer is very dark, so you want to use a very light hand when applying it. And as you can see, it barely looks like I added anything, and that's the way I wanted it to be. And then I'm also going to go ahead and kind of contour my nose just a little bit, not too much. So I'm just using this brush to help blend everything out, and I'm switching to my hand because the brush didn't do anything as far as blending. And it may look like I'm going hard on my nose, but I'm really not. I'm going very gentle, but I'm making sure that everything is evenly blended. And I'm about to go in with some more setting powder just to help that contour look even more snatched. Again, optional. You don't have to do this part. I normally don't go back in with setting powder yet again, but for this particular reason I am, because I want that contour to be even more crisp. Again, you don't have to, it's optional. And now I'm just dusting away that powder some more. And it didn't really make a difference in my opinion, but it may have to others. So yeah. And now I'm just adding on some blush, and again, this is optional, you don't have to. It didn't really show up the way that I thought it would, but it still turned out very cute. And I'm also going to add on just a little bit of highlighter, but before I added the highlighter, I did spray the highlighter. And for my eyeliner, I like to go as close as I possibly can to my lash line before going in with my wing. This is just to help, so when it's time to fill everything in, I don't have to worry about getting closer to my lash line. It is optional. Some people like to do their wing first. I find that doing close to my eyelids work best for me, so do what works for you. And I didn't want to go too bold with this look, and I think I did just the right amount. At first I was kind of nervous that it may look too bold because I didn't really want to use a lot of black since I don't have on anything black, but it worked out just perfect. Now moving on to the other side, and for this side I always have some type of trouble because I'm not left-handed, so it's very hard for me to do my left eye with my right hand, but I always make it work. Now I'm just setting everything into place before going in with any more products. And I use 2 different setting sprays to help set my face. No reason in particular, I could just use one, but I just ended up using 2 because one is more of a mist and the other one is an actual spray. And now I'm just taking in that foundation sponge and brush, and I'm just pressing everything into my face. You also can do this with a sponge, but I just ended up going in with a brush, and I ended up going over my lips so that whatever gloss I had on my lips will now become matte, and I can go ahead and move in with my lip liner. Now I'm just adding a little bit of highlight underneath my brow bone. This is optional, you don't always have to, but for certain looks I find that it helps make the eyes stand out even more, especially if you're going outside because you have to wear a mask. This really will help your eyes really pop. For me, I'm not going anywhere, so I didn't have to, but for video purposes, why not? And for my lip liner, I went in with a brown shade and not my go-to that I normally use. And I should have probably did the go-to because it actually would have went perfect. But I did like the way that the brown turned out as well. Now I'm going to add on some matte lipstick, and this will help bring everything together. And this red matched the color red in my outfit so perfect. It just made everything super cute. I'm also going to add on some NYX Lip Lingerie onto the center of my lips. It didn't really do much, but it still looked cute. So I didn't add any mascara on, and you will see in the next clip of the video why I didn't. So this is going to be a 3-part series. Stay tuned for the next clip. I wanted to show how different mascaras give you different looks. Okay, the first mascara that I'm going to be putting on is the MAC Bold and Badlash. And I love this mascara because it has 2 different wands, one for the top lashes and one for the bottom one. And again, everything that I will be trying out will be listed down below. This is how this wand looks. So you want to go under. And if you have a problem with your mascara clumping up on you, to your lashes, just either add a little less product or try to get one of these little lash curler combs. Sorry, this lash comb, and that should help do the trick. And I kind of like to wiggle my wand just a little bit to spread my lashes out. And I'm gonna show you, this side has nothing, and then you have this side. I don't know why this eye keep watering. Okay, and now to curl the bottom. And I like that this has the one for the lower lashes, because if your lower lashes is not as long, you won't get the product all over the place, even though I can work with both. But sometimes it helps when you don't have a mascara that is, you know. And just coating. And I like the fact that not a lot of product comes on this wand. And if you feel like it's not enough, just go back in, add a little more products. But this is how it's looking versus this side. Okay. And on this eye, I'm going to go in with a different mascara, which is the Outrageous Extension Dramatic Volume and Length Mascara from Sephora. This is also another one of my favorites, so those two are my favorites. Most of the mascaras that I'm using today are going to be my favorites, except for this one. I never tried this one before. I got it for free, so we're going to test it out today. Okay, and with this tube, it is very thick, and this is how this wand looks. It's a bit flimsy, but let's see. And again, with the bottom lash, this is probably going to be the one that you're going to have trouble with because it is a little bigger, but we'll see. But I feel like with the bristles of this one, they're not bad. I do love the fact that this one gives your lashes that thickness that it needs. I like to make sure that my lashes, especially in the inner corners, have enough mascara on them. But that's the top. Let's see if I can move here a little bit. See? Now let's go the bottom lashes. And again, like you can see how flimsy it is in the tube, but you want to wipe a lot of that product off, especially at the tip. I should have probably clipped my hair back. Hold on, because I can't hold this tube and do this side because it's so thick at the same token. And I'm being very careful when it comes to the bottom lashes, because the last thing you want to do is get this product all over your face, especially when you've done such an amazing job on your makeup. But if you do get it anywhere on your face, and I love how this one makes the bottom lashes look. It looks so long and full versus this side, and I only use one coat, but on this side it does not look as thick and full, especially at the bottom. You see? Sorry. So if I had to rate these two, like I said, I love the small one because it makes it easier when you want to get the bottom lashes, but I love the way that this one expands those bottom lashes perfect. As far as the top lashes, yes, this one you can see a little bit more, but I honestly think that's because about 2 months ago I did the I don't know what it's called, lash lift, and I only did this side, and I didn't like it, so that's why I didn't do this side, because I felt like it curled it a little too much to the point that in the middle it was rubbing against my eyelid, and I don't like, sorry, I was looking straight ahead because I'm looking at myself in the thing. That's how I'm able to see. But I don't like the fact that it was rubbing against my eyelid, and it was like that for a while, but my lashes went back to normal, so I do like that. I probably would use it again, but I'll probably use a different method. Method that I used was right. I followed the directions to the T, but it comes with 5 different I don't know what they're called, but it's like these rubber things. If you've seen the videos, then you know what I'm talking about. But it's like these little rubber things, and I recorded the video of me doing it, but I ended up deleting it because, again, it was rubbing against my lashes, against my eyelids immediately, and I hated it. But anywho, I'm gonna go take this mascara off, and I hope I don't rub off any of my makeup, and then I'll come back and do 2 more, just so you can have an idea. But I'm gonna go wipe this off and I'm gonna come back.